Are you absolutely 100% sure the lawyer you're about to hand thousands of dollars to is actually allowed to practice law? Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to walk through exactly how to verify your Virginia attorney's credentials. Honestly, this is quite literally the most important 10 minutes you can spend before signing a representation agreement. So let's jump right in.
It's a really serious question. Do you actually know who is handling your case? The financial and legal risks of hiring someone engaged in the unauthorized practice of law are just incredibly severe. So you need absolute certainty before you sign anything. I actually didn't realize this, but in Virginia, the legal profession is entirely self-regulated. It operates under the oversight of the Supreme Court of Virginia and is managed day-to-day by the Virginia State Bar, or the VSB. Making sure your lawyer is actively licensed isn't just about professional integrity. It is absolutely crucial for your ultimate legal protection and your peace of mind.
We've got a lot of ground to cover today. We're going to look at why this verification matters so much, how to actually navigate the VSB portal, and how to decode some of that confusing legal jargon. Then we'll talk about spotting crucial red flags, go a bit beyond the basic search, and wrap up with how to protect yourself moving forward. Consider this your complete step-by-step roadmap.
Okay, let's start with the core problem here. Why is checking these credentials the very first thing you should do? Well, it's incredibly easy to look at a slick professional website or a nice office and just assume someone is totally qualified. But the Virginia State Bar specifically warns against the unauthorized practice of law. Imagine hiring someone to help with a life-altering immigration case, only to find out they were engaged in notario fraud. That's a very real, unfortunate scenario where non-lawyers literally prey on people by posing as authorized legal representatives. The stakes really couldn't be higher.
What's really fascinating here is the actual letter of the law. According to the Code of Virginia, any contract for professional employment secured by an attorney in violation of this article shall be void and unenforceable. I mean, think about that for a second. Imagine paying a $10,000 retainer, handing over all your most sensitive, private documents, only to discover your so-called lawyer isn't legally allowed to represent you in court. Because the contract is instantly voided, you are left completely exposed to potential fraud and malpractice with zero standard legal protection. Verifying their status up front is what prevents this absolute nightmare scenario.
So, what's the solution? Let's talk about how you can independently verify any lawyer using the Virginia State Bar website. They provide a really comprehensive digital verification matrix, and the absolute best part is that it is entirely free for the public to use.
The process to find a lawyer's official profile is actually surprisingly simple. First, you just head over to vsb.org. Next, you navigate to their lawyer lookup directory. From there, you just type in their information. You can search by a partial or complete first and last name, or, and this is the best way for a direct query, their unique numerical bar ID number. But once you hit search and pull up their profile, you really need to know how to interpret the results you're seeing.
And that brings us to the regulatory database itself, which, let's be honest, is absolutely full of bureaucratic jargon. So let's translate these terms into plain English so you know exactly what you're looking at when a profile pops up. An attorney's authority to practice law in Virginia depends entirely on their official membership class.
First up is the word plenary. Now, if you're like me, you probably don't use the word plenary in casual conversation. You can basically just think of it as having full access. This is what a healthy standard practicing attorney profile looks like. These individuals make up the vast majority of the Virginia State Bar. They have full, unrestricted authority to practice law, represent clients in a courtroom, and provide legal advice anywhere in Virginia.
On the other hand, if you see the term associate, you need to pump the brakes. That means the lawyer is currently inactive. While they are technically still in the system and part of the bar, they are considered non-practicing lawyers. The massive takeaway here is that an associate legally cannot take on your case or represent clients in any capacity.
Next, you want to look at their standing. In good standing, which is often abbreviated as just IGS, is exactly the green light you are looking for. This confirms that the plenary attorney is fully permitted to practice law right now. If you see this status, you can safely breathe a sigh of relief.
Conversely, we have not in good standing, or NGS. Guys, an NGS status is a massive, immediate red flag. It literally means they are completely ineligible to practice law in Virginia. This usually happens when their licenses are administratively suspended. Maybe they just failed to pay their bar dues or finish their mandatory continuing education. Or, far worse, their license has been revoked entirely for serious disciplinary reasons. Bottom line, if you see NGS, walk away.
So, as we've seen, a lawyer-specific membership class directly dictates their boundaries in Virginia. Beyond that standard plenary license, you might occasionally run into corporate counsel.
These are usually out-of-state attorneys employed by a Virginia-based corporation, and their practice is restricted exclusively to advising their corporate employer. They cannot take you on as a private client. You might also see the term emeritus, which is a really great program designating retired attorneys who provide pro bono legal services, but they can only do so under the strict supervision of a recognized legal aid organization.
All right, let's move beyond the basic status because you also need to know how to spot hidden warnings like past misconduct or a lack of malpractice insurance. The VSB directory is great because it doesn't just tell you if they can practice today, it provides a vital window into their entire professional history.
When you're checking a lawyer's disciplinary history, you really have to understand that the database is split into two tiers based on a transitional cutoff date. It's a bit quirky, but here's how it works. If a lawyer faced public discipline on or after January 1st, 2022, that record will pop up directly on their main electronic profile. However, public disciplinary actions finalized before January 2022 are completely hidden from that main search. To find those legacy records, you actually have to scroll all the way to the bottom of the Disciplinary System Actions page and use a completely separate search tool. You absolutely must check both of these tools to ensure a lawyer doesn't have a hidden history of malpractice from a decade ago.
Here's another crucial red flag, and this one revolves around professional liability. I found this really surprising. Virginia lawyers are not legally mandated to carry malpractice insurance. Crazy, right? But they are required to publicly disclose their insurance status annually to the VSB. The transparency of this system is actually incredibly helpful. The VSB even has a specific tool called the Lawyer Does Not Have Malpractice Insurance Search. You can literally search the database specifically to find lawyers who operate without coverage. Knowing this before you hire someone is just vital for your own financial protection, just in case something goes fundamentally wrong with your case.
Now, if you are a first-time user of this system, I've got a few extra tips and tricks to make sure your search is incredibly accurate and that you are leaving absolutely no stone unturned.
First off, always use exact legal names. Virginia has over 39,000 lawyers, so confusing two attorneys with similar names is surprisingly common. Utilizing their unique bar ID number ensures you don't accidentally hire the wrong person or, falsely attribute a bad disciplinary record to a perfectly good lawyer. If you hit a roadblock, or if the website happens to be down for maintenance, don't panic. You can simply call the VSB membership department directly at 804-775-0530 for human verification. And finally, if you need certified official proof of their status, maybe you need it for a corporate compliance program, you can request a physical certificate of good standing from the clerk of the Supreme Court of Virginia for a $15 fee.
Let's wrap this up and cement what you should take away from all of this to protect yourself going forward. You now have the exact roadmap to confidently verify the professionals you're entrusting with your life, your business, and your legal rights.
Now, a quick but important reminder. While you now have the tools to verify these credentials, this explainer is intended for informational purposes only and definitely should not be considered as legal advice. You should always consult directly with the Virginia State Bar or a qualified legal professional for personalized assistance regarding your specific situation.
Which brings me to a final, highly important question for you. Before you sign that representation agreement, have you fully verified the attorney handling your case? Take control of your legal protection today, run that search, and empower yourself as a smart consumer of legal services. Let us know down in the comments how the VSP portal worked for you, or hey, if you discovered any surprising red flags during your search, we want to hear about it. Keep learning, keep verifying, and we will see you in the next explainer.